good morning, everybody. Happy Monday, Mindset Monday. Welcome. I'm so happy to have you here with us. I know people still are logging on here. And what's really exciting is that we have had this Age of Power Huddle going on now, goodness, for a few years, because we started, at least a few years ago. Anyway, and what's really neat is it used to just be only here on these Zoom calls. And now it is on podcasts, it's on YouTube. You can replay these. And I really want to encourage you to replay them, over and over again. And, throughout the week, listen to some of the other episodes. If you can't make it Monday through Friday from 8 to 8:30, if you can go ahead and log on to some of those other ones, because I know I do all the time and learn so much. Autumn, if you can give us a gallery screen so I can see everybody that comes on, that would be great. I can't see everybody for some reason. And it does say I'm on the gallery here, but I do like to see people when they come on. Not let do under view to see. Yeah, it's marked gallery for some reason, but in any case, I can't see everybody. So I'm just going to go on here, and hopefully, we'll be able to get. I know there's multiple people on the call today, but let's just dive in. Actually, so I got to tell you, I am reading this fabulous book, and I'm going to have to go ahead and put it on speaker so I can see on my screen holding it up. This is a book written by Diana Kokoska, and it's called Becoming More. Brett Conley, I don't know if you know Brett Conley, but he gave me this book, and I've been reading it, and gosh, it's fantastic. So I just really want to encourage you all to read that book when you can. Today's topic, we're going to be talking more, really going into depths about character and what character really means, not only personally, professionally, in every area of your life. And I'm going to start it out like this. Your character plays the lead in a story called your life. All right. You cannot have a story without a character, right? The character I'm talking about here, though, is the invisible, mentable, principal qualities that really are distinctive to you. So I want to tell this story about Diana Kokoska because she opens it in her book. And let's see here. I'm really getting distracted because I like to be able to see you guys, and I can't see anybody, which bums me out. But anyway, hopefully you guys can engage here, and if there's something in the chat we can put into, I can maybe see you at that point. All right. So anyway, Diana begins the chapter telling a story about a leadership conference that she attended years ago, and it was actually led by the Navy SEALs. If anybody know anything about the Navy SEALs, then I got to tell you, you should know that the Navy SEALs are among the finest of soldiers. In fact, it's underscored by the fact that only 6% of the applicants that go to the Navy SEALs actually get it. That's how elite they are and what they stand for. Just the idea for Diana when she writes it in this book about her learning from a Navy SEAL and what's going to happen with not only just physical strength, but their intelligence, their leadership skills, the character that's required to be a Navy SEAL. Her words were just, this is going to be an exciting experience for her and for the group she was with. She goes on to tell the story how they were divided into teams, okay? And they knew that it was going to be very challenging. Of course, the Navy SEALs is going to be very challenging, not just, physically, but also with their mindsets in their bodies and learning new things. And they were all absolutely ready just to show up and give it their all that day. They all probably knew that they wouldn't do as well as the Navy SEAL, of course, but they were all ready to bring what they call in the book, which I loved, they were going to bring their character out to play. Okay. It's a great story, and it continues with all the physical and the mental tasks that they had to do each day. Each drill they did was revealing stronger character, right? It was bringing out their character traits. It was giving them many lessons about, values of hard work and of commitment. And they learned lessons of adding value, putting others before themselves, practicing resilience, decisiveness, staying organized, paying very attention to detail. And if you realize all of these things really matter greatly when you're a leader. So just being with the Navy SEALs and doing these drills was unpacking, if you will, all these amazing tools in their tool belt and things about their character that was coming to surface that they maybe didn't even recognize within themselves. Um, all of these things, so, it just, like I said, matters when you become a leader, and actually just even a leader in your own life. Every one of us need to pay attention to these types of traits and within our own character. If you ever had an opportunity to listen to a Navy SEAL, won't take you much for you to realize that the other things that they really possess is honesty, right? Compassion, courage for sure, and humility. Okay, they're highly accountable, highly accountable. They take responsibility. They use reflection, looking back on what they've done in order to grow. So remember, we don't fail, we only learn. We fed that in multiple aged power huddles. And so the just the lessons from the Navy SEALs. And when simply put, the Navy SEALs, they say this, that you've got three choices. And I love this too. Three choices. One, you're either going to give up. Two, you're going to give in. Or three, you are going to give it all you've got. And think about that. Simple. If you really kept that in perspective, and if you embed that in your own beliefs, that you've got three choices in everything you do: give up, give in, or give it all you got, right? Your character is going to determine if you're going to give it all you got. And to get these results, that's right. That's just what's going to happen. The character actually begins internally, though. You need to understand it begins internally and shows externally. Begins internally, shows up externally. Now, there's a reason I'm telling you this story, because I really spoke to me, and I hope, if you haven't met a Navy SEAL, ambition to try to, or do some investigation yourself and read this book. Okay, it's not all about that, but it does have a lot of detail on it. So it gave me a wonderful memory of a leadership training that I went through myself, actually, several years ago, when I was leading a bigger team. And we actually had a Navy SEAL that came in and did our training for us. And he put us through a series of about 6 weeks that we met with him. And we did this leadership training, and it was really exciting. I'm going to hold this little coin up. You probably can't see it, but this is a commemorative coin that it's from SEAL Team 3 that they gave to us when we went through this leadership training. And it just meant the world. I keep it right here on the mantle, along, by the way, with my son, who was on the silent drill platoon. Just another incredible platoon for the military. I keep these both right here in my office on my mantle at all times, because they just mean that much. But so they gave that to us on the completion of our training. It's just another reminder on Agent Power Huddle. I encourage you to listen to many different leaders leading this group. There's just so much we learn from each other, and it just doesn't come only from books that we read or classes that we take, but truly comes from our life experiences of, as an agent, as a mother, as a parent, as a friend, as a coach and consultant, that we just pour into all of you all of this, this wonderful training that we've had. And I had no idea that someday this would come up and this book would to me that I would be able to share with you today. Let's talk about character and this reflection of you to think about how it applies to you in your life and how you're showing up in your own life, right? So character is very complex. It's developed by many things, including your beliefs, your values, your emotions. I've done another Agent Power Huddle. It's on emotion. You should listen to that one. Mindset, of course, we talk about that all the time. And of course, perspective. So the words you use, and this is so interesting. I was just talking to my daughter about this yesterday. The words you use will create the actions that you take and your decisions that you make. So be very cautious about the words that you use, because they do influence your character. Are you aware of the ways in which your decisions will define who you are on the outside? You can repeat that. Are you aware that the ways your decisions that you make will define your character on the outside world? Everything on the inside will eventually show up on the outside. That's where I'm going with this. Everything on your inside eventually shows up on the outside. So that's why I always want to talk about really being authentic to your feelings, authentic to your beliefs, authentic to who you are. Whether you're winning, we want to celebrate that. If you're having struggles and challenges, I reach out to agents and friends all the time. It's about being transparent because you know what? If you hold it in and just act like everything's okay all the time, it's going to show up in other areas of your life. Hopefully you're getting my gist on this. By the way, I talk about this. If you see me looking down, I do have notes because if you knew me personally, you'll know that I could talk to you for a couple hours here. I get so passionate about topics I'm bringing up. I share life experiences. And for that reason, I also know we have 30 minutes and I want to make sure we stay on track. So think about it. Go back to character. On the inside, your habits are growing. Habits, right? They're integrating with your character traits every day. The habits is just why it's so important to watch those habits. Each choice that you make, allowing them to show up on the outside world through your performance and through your result. The more you make the right choices, the stronger the character trait becomes. So let me ask you this. How strong is your character? Do you even know how strong your character is? Well, would it be strong like what they call a Baluch tree? I don't know if you've ever heard of a Baluch tree. Honestly, I didn't. I read the book. But it's called, would you be strong like a Baluch tree? Apparently, Baluch is the strongest wood, the strongest tree. It doesn't rot. It doesn't weaken. It's, the strength is incredible of a Baluch tree. So it asks you, would you be as strong as a Baluch tree? Or would your character be more like a willow tree where, it's tossed from side to side depending upon the way the wind is blowing? That was a great analogy. Think of it like this. The tree has a trunk. The trunk is nice and sturdy and strong. Then it grows off and it's got branches. And then it goes off and it has limbs. And then, of course, it's got leaves all around it, right? That creates the whole tree. But guess what? It's actually supported. Think about this. It's supported way down below in the root system of the tree. And that's what I wanted to embed upon you embed upon you, I guess is a good way to say it, is the fact that the root system below is the character. That's where the character is built. It's in the roots of the tree. So when the roots go deep, guess what's happening? It can weather more storms, right? Your character goes deep. It can weather more storms. The challenges that we run across day in and day out, to persevere, to continue to do the things that maybe we don't always like to do day in and day out. It's our character, our strength, if you will, within that root system that let us shine without, it will show up outside because of that. I'm not getting too deep on here, but it's actually, I thought it was really fascinating to read this. And it's really self-discovering as well. The depth of your character is really going to enable you how you're going to withstand different turbulence in your life. So, is it going to be, are you going to be able to withstand that like this to Baluch tree? Or is it going to have you tumble to the ground? Okay. Yes, I pause purposely. Roots, much like a foundation of the home, are developing underground. Your character, thereby, is developing more in private, if you think about it. It's really developing more in private. Your character is not something you go out and you have to brag about, or your character is not something you market. It's just not like that. When your character has real substance to it, it's naturally just going to shine through. People will just notice it. And, it's just because it's who you are. It's how you show up. All right. So true character sometimes, though, can also really be revealed in crisis situations. And Diana tells her own story in the book. You'll read about some of the crises she went through and how she handled those crises and how her character traits showed up. And you can, if you read the book, I want you to think about some of your own stories, though, on this Agent Power Huddle, or if you listen back to it again, try to really, every Agent Power Huddle, you should be doing this. We all lead with something, but we want you to really self-discover. It's what it's about. That's where your most growth is going to come in, is when you can self-discover. So think of your own stories. We all have that. Where a crisis came up and your character was revealed, not by you trying to, it just, your character is revealed. So I'll quickly try to be quick on this, not to bore you with it, but I'll show you a little bit of my own story of one of the ones that came up for me. It was me. I ran multiple brokerages, as some of you know, through my years in real estate. One with a team leader with Keller Williams. That was big brokerage, and I loved that experience. And I would have stayed there for the rest of my career if I didn't have a 3-hour round trip commute every day. But in any case, then after that, I ran a small boutique brokerage where we have 5 regions to it. I had one region down in San Diego. It was a boutique brokerage. It was a great experience. Oh my gosh, we got to build this office. It was the most beautiful office. If you ever go to my Facebook, you might be able to see some of the pages, but beautiful office you could ever see. When I recruited, it wasn't, I was more about attraction to me, not recruiting, right? It wasn't like bringing the numbers. It was about who I was bringing over. And when I interviewed agents, it was basically, it had to be this match. I said, I'm going to be pouring into you. We're going to have trainings in here. We're going to be masterminding. I want to attract the people who are serious about growing their business. I want people that have the same mindset of growth, that are going to show up, that when we do a training, this room is full. And again, if you went back to my Facebook, you're going to see that's the crowd and that's the group we attracted. Okay, where's the crisis and all that? Well, let me tell you, you got to be careful who you get in business with. We built this beautiful, amazing team down there. It was only like about 20 agents. I mean, these 20 agents, every one of us increased in production that year, every single one of them. And every single one of them showed up. And the culture was rich. I mean, it was just that amazing. Again, where's the crisis? Here's the crisis. You built such an amazing office down there, and the culture and everything, and the production. But here's the problem. When the money came in, the money went to the investors who owned the company. Right? I wasn't the owner of the company. I won this brokerage, but in any case, money went to them, and they stopped paying my salary, my assistant's salary, and our rents. We just got paid because that's through escrow, but stopped paying. What would you do if your salary got cut? I was not in production at that time. I was training consulting agents, or running the brokerage and all that. But it went on for at least 6 months. I mean, people were like, why haven't you left? I'm like, here's why. And here's where the character part comes in. It was my lesson in reading this book. It was really eyes wide open, because we had 5 regions, remember. 3 other of the regions, all those leaders left when they stopped getting paid. I stayed. Why did I stay if I wasn't getting paid? I stayed for my people because they trusted me. All right, I brought them in. We were a team. We were a family. And they trusted me to stay and be with them till I could find a solution to this. And we did find a solution. I'm going to end the story and go on to the rest of the topic here. But it was amazing. Once we finally were able to, I got merged to another brokerage, with all my people, I was able to then go back into production myself and recap some of those losses. But here's where the lesson is in this character. The character that showed up, that was just me not leaving my people. But do you know, to this day, and a lot of us now are in many different brokerages at this point, we all have this bond that's not broken. We call us a tribe. And we still get together. We'll have masterminds, we'll have lunches, we'll have dinners, we'll still get together. And we have built lifelong friendships through this, because character showed up, not just in myself, but in them too, for staying and supporting what I was going through, what my executive assistant was going through. So that was a real lesson that I had to learn. And it was really a good read when I learned that. Now, getting back to this, I want you to think about what has happened in your own lives, all right? So due to aligning myself with people out of integrity and out of character that was a huge crisis, right? After solving these issues, again, we all came together, and we're still, friends today. And I believe lifelong friends. It was challenging. Understand this. Geeks are about success and empowerment and valleys are about growth. Remember, we don't fail. There's a lot of wins I can say about that brokerage. A lot of wins, especially for my leadership and for the agents. All their businesses grew because of what we did together. But they're about, I learned a lot too. Be careful who you get in business with, right? Make sure you're always aligning character and integrity. And if something doesn't feel right, you need to go deeper and investigate why. It's through both of those that your character is forged. It would have been a lot easier for me to just leave versus staying for those months. So, so this happened several years ago. And like I said, we're all still a tribe, but our actions speak much louder than our words. Actually, they actually did not, I'll be honest here, they did not know I was not getting paid all those months. They knew that, because an agent might show up and there was a rent wasn't paid on the door and stuff like that. And of course that startled them, but I kept kind of holding it together. But I'll tell you, they didn't know until at the very end. And they're like, oh my God, we cannot believe you stayed that long. And what happened? All right. So character, though, is different than reputation. And I want to go through this because I thought this was really interesting when you think about it too. Diane explains this beautifully in her book. Character is what you give to others. Its reputation is what they give back to you. Think about that. So no matter how hard you work at, you can never completely control your reputation. Somebody might say something and you can't please everybody all the time, whatever, Character is like that tree though, remember? The reputation is just a shadow. Tree is the real thing. Have you ever heard somebody speak really highly of somebody? You've never met them before, but they spoke really highly of them. And you're like, oh, I can't wait to meet that person. And then you meet that person and guess what? They, their actions and everything speak directly like that the person was just describing to you. That character trait now is even stronger because, they've lived up to it, right? What about if somebody spoke really negative? So you're like, man, and I've had this happen with agents. I'm like, man, I've had multiple deals with that agent and I had great experiences and there are other people saying stuff, you got to think about, well, gosh, somebody talks really negatively about somebody, but then you go and meet that person and you have a completely different experience, right? You were told that person, that reputation doesn't match the character that you're experiencing. Character that is not just a report about someone and telling you about someone else. It's what you experience when you're with them. So be careful not to be listening to every, there are always two sides to every story. So you always just listen and let somebody earn their reputation with you. Let's earn it. Character earns trust and respect from others. People of character, they'll fulfill commitments. They'll take responsibility of their actions. They'll develop others, all right? They'll confront justice when it needs to be confronted. And you can count on them. Authenticity, as I opened with earlier in this Agent Power Huddle, transparency, consistency, that becomes their trademark. Authenticity, transparency, consistency, that's their trademark. Pay attention to those things. All right, lasting success is built on good character. By the way, character can also be taught. Yes, it can. It can be taught. And you think, well, how is it if you're on your own? Well, think about who your tribe is. Who are you surrounding yourself with? And let me give you this analogy. Think about that tree again. If you plant a tree by a really good source of water, all right, that tree is going to absorb water, right? It's just like you being around people with really great character and really great goals and aspirations and visions and everything else. You're going to start to absorb some of that. Okay. And you're going to, all the people around it will as well. But now let's pose the opposite. Well, no, again, those people all become watering holes. You'll be drinking from each other and sharing. That's the great beauty of it. But sadly, if you surround yourself with people that are out of integrity, out of character, like a tree without the water, you can starve and die. Okay. So the character traits, can it be grown? Yes, it can. It can by who you're surrounding yourself with. So look closely, at who you're surrounding yourself with, but also parents, look closely to your children. Who are they surrounding themselves with? All right. And by the way, watch who you're being. Who are you being? Or how are you leading, and how are you so that they can see you lead in that way? Who are you being? What character traits are you pouring into your family? So whether you know it or not, you do bear that responsibility for the people closest to you. You do bear that responsibility. Know this too, possessing the character trait of love actually makes people happier and healthier. I know, surprise, right? And that should be unsaid, but maybe it does need to be said sometimes. How are you talking to your significant other? How are you talking to your children? How are you talking to your friends? It's astounding sometimes the way we see people, how they treat their own family is harsher than how they actually treat the world. How are you being? Are you showing up? Is your character showing up? I like to be able to, we're going to wrap up the Agent Power Huddle here this week, but I want you to resonate on some of those things. People with great character, well, they're going to have true and lifelong influence on others because they are who they are. They know who they are, and they're showing up and being that person inside and outside. So remember, character or who you're being. It shows up on what you're doing. It shows up in the determination you have, and it shows up in by the habits that you create every single day. So I hope you've enjoyed this Agent Power Huddle. I'm kind of sad I didn't get to see you all today, but hopefully you're seeing me and you're listening to this. And it's always a pleasure and an honor to lead this Agent Power Huddle. And I always thank Jesse and Autumn and everybody who invite me to be on this show. That it means the world. And I hope you enjoy our topics when I do get to be able to share with you. All right. Have a great week, everybody. Get out there and show up.
If you'd like more information or to get connected to the Agent Power Huddle, join our free Facebook group. This call was designed for the agents in our EXP organization, but open to any agent from any brokerage. If you're a guest and you're interested in learning more about EXP or our specific resources within the Agent Collective, reach out to the person who invited you to this call to get more info. Produced by the Agent Collective Media Network.